Hey guys, welcome back to the English Gentleman Gamer with me and Roscoe. And here I am. I'm not playing a PlayStation 1 at this moment in time. I'm playing a PlayStation 1 game on my PS3. The reason why I'm playing Resident Evil is because I wanted to do a series where we kind of revisit games before they were famous, if you will. There's a few games series that are still going these days that started out quite a long time ago. Resident Evil doesn't quite fall into the right category. I had this a while ago on the PlayStation 3 and I re-downloaded it last night and fancied another punt. I just wanted to bring to people's attention, for those who weren't necessarily around or gaming when we were still playing 16-bit things with like 24,000 colours, or Game Boys that had four shades of fucking grey in them, what games were like and where some of the more popular franchises that are still going, where they came from and where they started. It's also because I couldn't tolerate doing another quest for the worst game ever. I got sick of playing really poor games. This is the first Resident Evil. This is the director's cut, not the version I played originally, and I'm not sure what's different between this and the original version, to tell you the truth. I'm sure you can find out on Google if you're that way inclined. Well, this was a revelation for me when I played it. It was just so much better looking and better sounding than anything on the Super Nintendo. But obviously, it was the type of game it was. The survival horror game. Now, there were a couple of RPGs that were quite scary, horror-like in their nature on the Super Nintendo, but not really. This was the first game that really made an effort to create a sort of scary atmosphere, basically. You never knew what was coming around the corner. There was plenty of surprises in store. The overarching plot wasn't massively surprising by the time you got to the end. It gave you plenty of clues to sort of suggest what was coming down the pipeline and stuff. But I wanted to look at the seed. But the reason why, like I say, I picked Resident Evil because it was easy for me to record last night, because I could get it in a couple of minutes on my PlayStation 3. So we will be looking at older stuff, predominantly from the NES era, and also from the Super Nintendo era. There'll be a few games as well. Most of them also did appear on the Genesis as well. It's just that it's easier for me to record Super Nintendo gameplay than Genesis or Mega Drive gameplay. So I'm going to have a look at games that still have stood the test of time, basically. I mean, we're on this game, Resident Evil 1, came out in 1996, 5 months after the PlayStation 1 came out in Europe. And Resident Evil 6 came out last year, October. But it's not the only one. There's been quite a few. There's been remixes. There's been sort of on-rail shooters versions. There's been quite a few different versions of Resident Evil knocking about. I mean, it went exclusive to Nintendo for a while, and the GameCube was out. Then Resident Evil 5 was a bit more like Uncharted, it struck me. It was less suspenseful and stuff, and it was just a case of running and gunning, from what I remember seeing it. I might be wrong, but so the other games I'm going to look at are going to be sort of like Final Fantasy still going. FIFA came out on the Super Nintendo, I believe. I might be wrong. I'm not going to look into Mario because, well, I might do. I mean, just to show you the difference between Super Mario Brothers Wii U, whatever the fucking hell its stupid name is, and the original Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo. The Zelda, they still haven't managed to bring out a Wii U version of Zelda yet, so no real shocker there that Nintendo's sales are quite shit at the moment. Well, there you go. What else was there? There was a couple. Metal Gear was the one. Actually got me thinking about doing this series in the first place, because we've seen quite a lot of footage of Metal Gear Solid 5 or whatever the fuck it is. It's coming out on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. But I did play it. I'm not sure if I even recorded it. I did play the original one last week. I did contemplate doing a video on it, but I don't think I recorded much footage in the end. But yeah, Metal Gear was the one that actually got me thinking about this series. So this full motion video now looks quite crap, basically, by our standards of PlayStation 3 and 1080p HD PCs and stuff. But this was pretty breakthrough back in the day. I mean, the original PlayStation games I remember playing were the likes of Ridge Racer and Wipeout, which, whilst graphically impressive, they didn't do full motion video. They were impact games. They were bright and they were noisy and they were meant to be enjoyable, which they were. This game was a lot slower paced. You've escaped from what seems to be a werewolf. I mean, I guess that's a reference to American Werewolf in London. given the shot that you see, rather than seeing the full body shot of the wolf or whatever it was chasing you. You just see the mouth, and then you end up in this mansion, and then you're left to try and find out what the fuck's going on. Now, I played through it twice originally. I even played. I'm pretty sure I bought Resident Evil 2, but by the time I'd gone through that twice as well, the formula in a way had gone a bit stale for me, because it was always a case of you go into an area, a building, whatever, and there's X number of doors open, but you find out that you can't open door A because there's a key behind door B that you need a key card from behind door C to go and get, but you've got to move fucking X, Y and Z to unblock door E to release some sort of catch. And it was frustrating. It's a bit the reason why I don't like playing Zelda games, that you can see things you're going to have to go back to in the end, and I don't really like rehashing, grinding basically, where you've got to keep going over and over the same ground, but once you've improved one ability you can reach something you couldn't reach before, and it's a bit like dick teasing to my mind. When I played through, the last Zelda game I played was something DX. It was on the game, I think it was a Game Boy Color game that I played on my Game Boy Advance, and as enjoyable as it was painful in a way, going through certain areas without, when you're having level 1 power glove or some crap. So this is what kind of put me off Resident Evil. By the time I'd gone through the first 2 games, with each character, I could see what was coming, and it was just it felt like a grind at the end rather than being enjoyable. So I thought I'd have a look at it again though. I mean, 1996 is 18 years ago. This game's 18 years old. So, maybe my memories are a little bit harsh of the game, shall we say. And I've been watching a dude doing a playthrough of one of them, I can't remember which one it is. I think it might be Resident Evil 2 or 3. I think it's the remake version that's done on the GameCube though. I've been watching that. It's not Resident Evil 2 because I don't recognise any of it, so it must be Resident Evil 3 or 4. Anyway, it's irrelevant. I've been watching this dude playing through it, and it kind of, inspired me to have another look at it. I did actually fire up Resident Evil 3, which I've had on my hard drive for quite a long time, and I think I played it when I was pissed basically for about 10 minutes and didn't even bother saving it, so I can't really remember much about that. So I thought I'd come and have a look at it again and sort of bring you games that have stood the test of time and show you where they all started. For the younger sounds a bit condescending, for the gamers who weren't necessarily around when 16-bit consoles were popular, and even 8-bit consoles, there are some franchises out there that did begin before Call of Duty was born. So that's my reason for doing it, and I also couldn't tolerate doing any more crap games. I think the iconic scene of this game is coming up right about now. It wasn't on purpose, by the way, it's just a happy coincidence. I'm just about to finish this off, and you see this bit. This is rendered rather than full motion, and this is the zombie that you see. This is what made you believe, or made you twig, if you hadn't read any reviews, that you were dealing with zombies and the undead and all that crap. But it's not the most shocking moment in the game. That comes a bit later on. But the atmosphere that this game, especially if you played it in the dark, the atmosphere that this game created did make it genuinely, scary is not the right word, but genuinely put you on edge. You didn't know what was coming next, and it kept you agitated, if you want a better word. So if you have got the means to go and get your hands on a copy of Resident Evil 1, this director's cut I think is £3.29 on PlayStation Store. I don't know, because I've bought it in the past. Whenever I go to the PlayStation Store, it just prompts me to download it again. It doesn't say how much it actually is, so I don't actually know. But if it's £3 or £4, it's worth a go. If it's more than sort of 6 or 7, then I'd say I'd leave it, to be honest. But it's an iconic game. It spawned a few copies, Silent Hill being the one that springs to mind. I think even Alan Wake to a degree. That was quite gloomy, for want of a better word. From what footage I've seen of my man Ravenballer playing through it, it always seems to be in the fucking dark. So it has spawned a few copies, replicas and stuff. You could even argue that Manhunt was a bit like it, in as much as it was just constantly dark and gloomy. Or Manhunt tended to concentrate more on the extremely gory violence, but that's another game not worth visiting in my opinion. So I'll leave you with it, guys. This is Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut. Like I say, not a clue what difference it makes. It's worth having a look if you get a chance. The other game I'm playing at the moment is Red Dead Redemption. I'm still fucking waiting for Uncharted 3 to install itself. I had to leave it on all night last night just to install the fucking single player game, and it still won't actually play until I've downloaded the 3D and 2D video, which is a bit annoying. But so again, I'll have to switch that on when I get home and leave it running for a while. So hopefully I'll get on Red Dead Redemption tonight. I did play it. I got up to the first. I'm still in the first bit, and I'm up to a bit where some woman's racing me around her land, for want of a better word, on a horse. I did shit and I kept falling off, so I'm a bit of a rage quit on that last night. But anyway, I hope you have an enjoyable weekend, guys, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.